This week on Sib Riv, maybe it's a hot take. I honestly think the only reason they have done this is for their own sense of validation.
That person's just completely wrong.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, that's how you really
wrong! Welcome, everybody, to the 104th most popular podcast in Vietnam. I'm your host, Dana, and I'm joined by my brother and sister.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Dave and Michelle. How you guys doing this week?
Good.
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Smells really good in my place right now. I'm making Nana's meatballs. So it's a long, slow process.
Nice.
Yeah.
It
Simmering.
is.
Yeah.
Yum.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to get started with a clip of the week, and then, David, you can take us into your subject, okay?
It's time for Dana's Clip of the Week.
Recently discovered the greatest name for a lake in United States history. The lake is in Massachusetts, and I will share it with you right now. It is called Lake Chagagagog Manchangagog Chabanagungamug. And I know what you're all thinking right now. You're like, what is so special about Chagagagog Manchangagog Chabanagungamug? It rolls off the tongue very nicely, Chagagagog Manchangagog Chabanagungamug. But I don't know. There's just something about Lake Chagagagog Manchangagog Chabanagungamug that I really like a lot.
Is that a real lake?
I believe it is.
Oh, my.
Where is it?
I did a quick little research on it. It's in Western Mass, and apparently it's like a Native American phrase or something. The British settlers came before we were even like really truly colonized, and it meant, I guess it translates to, you fish your side, I'll fish my side, nobody fishes the middle. That was the quick little research I did on it, but I just thought that it really rolls off the tongue.
That's good.
All right. Go ahead,
What were
Dave.
you going to say?
I was just going to say, that's kind of how I live my life. Like, I stay on my side, you stay on your side, nobody goes in the middle. And we're all happy.
What a way to live.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, what's the topic this week?
The topic of this week, I figured we would advise the internet. And I gotta tell you, I was a little disappointed in Reddit this week because I didn't find anything truly juicy. There is one that I don't know if I'm going to be able to read without laughing, but I'm pretty sure it's fake.
I think I know which one you're referring to.
I'm sure you do. I also have a bonus one that I came up with that I thought, oh, here's one that would be good to get everybody's sort of take on from Am I the A-hole? So
Love those ones.
yeah. So I can launch into the first one if you want. And I'm going to read from my own screen. I don't have the special technical know-how that my little brother has. So just bear with me while I do this. This person, this is from the Dating Over 40 subreddit. They are not asking for specific advice, but they are just asking people's general thoughts. I was curious to know what my siblings would make of this. So they titled their question, curious why this occurs. So they say, I'm sure we can all agree that breakups are painful. And I understand oftentimes the dumper feels bad about hurting someone. However, I have noticed something. I have been in 4 long-term relationships ranging from 2 to 13 years. All of these individuals have come back and wanted to talk later on and to reconcile. Sometimes several months after the breakup, but oftentimes a year or 2 later. Yes, I understand they may have gotten in a situation that did not work out. But in all of these instances, the pursuit and the persistence was incredibly strong post-breakup. While I was friendly with all of them, I wasn't interested in reconciliation. I'm not saying I would never give someone a second chance because I would. I'm just speaking to these particular instances. They all say that I hope you realize how much I loved and cared for you. I swear I'm not trying to be cold, but never has that happened to me. I don't doubt that someone loved and cared for me. But after someone dumps me, it doesn't become this strong realization that this person loved me so much. I see it as they weren't in it for the long haul, and I understand that. Or they wanted something or someone different. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Hurtful, yes. However, I am able to see I wasn't the one for them, hence, they couldn't be the one for me. Is this what they call self protection? Because I'm the one who's generally dumped. I always want to be self aware, so I'm genuinely asking if I'm crazy for feeling this way. So I know you two have been married for a decade and a half, going on 2 decades at this point. I am more recently married. I can tell you from my own experience, at some point, every ex I've ever had, with a couple exceptions, has always come back, not necessarily to reconcile, but at least like to check in. And I've always been the kind of person, again, with very few exceptions, I have no interest in, circling back around to keep up some form of friendship or whatever the case might be. And I have a very strict one chance per woman per lifetime policy. The one time that I went against that, it did not work out well for me at all.
I did not know you had that rule.
I do, and there are reasons for that, which I think are very valid. So I honestly, I think this is true anytime, especially if, regardless of whether I was the one doing the breaking up or the one broken up with, but especially in cases where I was the one who was broken up with, I would never give a second chance. Not because I'm petty, not because I want to score points off of that ex, not because I want to hurt them, but the reality is they had a relationship with me. For whatever reason, they felt they wanted someone in their eyes better. And once somebody has that attitude, it's always going to be there. So it's really about self-respect. I think if somebody breaks up with you, the way I haven't always felt this way, obviously. You guys, you've been there for a great many of my relationships. I haven't always had this attitude. This is something I actually developed right around the end of my second marriage, when I was turning 40. And this is for the last 8-9 years. I've really been like, once we're done, we're done. Because if you didn't appreciate me then, you're just not into me. And if you're coming back, it means whatever you wanted didn't work out for you. So you're circling back around, hoping to, I don't know, not be alone or whatever. But that's not my obligation to fix.
Yeah, I think it depends on your age. Because I feel like someone that's like teenager, just starting to date, or like through early 20s may give multiple chances. And then as you grow as an adult, you realize what you're worth and like things that are worth your effort. And then, like you said, you came to that realization as you turned 40, like, you know what? Like, I'm over this. Like, I've been there, done it. I've learned it. I'm good now. So
I wish I'd had, yeah.
I wish we knew how old is this. Do we think this is a woman or writing
people
this?
people were answering as if it was a woman, because a lot of the answers people gave was like, men always come back. They always want to come back. And yeah. It seemed that very few men actually answered the question or gave their thoughts. It seemed to be mainly women that were writing in response. And the general theme was, and I didn't include this theme in the answers I sent to you guys, but the general theme was like, well, men do this all the time. Which could be true. I don't know. I don't date men, so I don't know. But I can tell you women do it a lot. Not necessarily because they want to get back together, but maybe there's some form of, I don't know, maybe they feel guilt. Maybe they don't, I don't think I've dated terrible people, with a few exceptions. So, maybe they just want to have like a generally good relationship, not romantic relationship, but just kind of keep communication generally polite and friendly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have no issue with that. But I have had in a couple cases, I have had, women that I used to date say to me, like, I would like to try again. And my answer has been no.
I think some people just need closure and some people don't.
Closure is crap.
Closure is crap. Is that what you said?
We make our own closure. It's not something we can get from somebody else.
I agree with that statement. I'm just perplexed by this poster.
What perplexes you?
Because I feel like they're kind of being dishonest in it.
How so?
They're claiming they've only ever dumped one person. I don't see why someone dumping someone is going to say, "I hope you realize how much I love you." No. I would never break up with someone saying, "I hope you realize how much I loved you." You know what I mean? Like, that's something someone would say when they're getting broken up with, trying to keep that person. I don't know. This person posting is they're kind of contradicting themselves in a way.
Welcome to Dating Over 40 subreddit. That's pretty much how it works.
Which makes me think that they're really dumping people more than they say.
Well, I wrote she was in a relationship for 13 years. Like, what happened? That's what I realized. That's the story I want to know. You were with someone 13 years? Or is that the one you broke up with? Did they break up with you? Yeah. Why did you guys break? Like, I want that story because I'm kind of with you, Dana. What I have down here, I'm confused about what her question is. Which I guess if she was just looking for thoughts and like she was just curious what people thought, then I guess she doesn't really have a question per se. But that's why I think maybe she is with people that need closure. Maybe she's a person that. Again, I know you guys now how you guys feel about closure, but maybe she's a person that doesn't like you guys, and like maybe these past relationships, these people that she has dated have kind of self-reflected on that relationship, and maybe they had a little bit of guilt and they just kind of wanted to clear the air, saying like, hey, like I did care about you, I did love you, it didn't work out, but like my feelings then were real. I don't know. I'm like a little confused on this one.
But she's making it seem like they want to get back with her about.
Well, yeah, because she talks about reconciliation. So I think that if there's a question there, the end is, when she says she has no interest in reconciling with these people that come back, is it a form of self-protection? I think she's asking, like, am I different or weird or crazy for feeling strange or for feeling against the idea of getting back with somebody when they say they want to get back? My answer to that is no, absolutely not. They had their shot. They thought they could do better. Like I said, my attitude is like, babe, good love is hard to find. If you think you can do better, I'm not gonna stand in the way, because trying to stand in the way is going to be a pale rendition of an actual relationship anyway. If I'm with somebody and she's constantly thinking about how she can do better, I guarantee you I'm not going to be happy in that relationship. So why would I try to hold on to it? As painful as it, I'm not saying it's easy to let go. Right. But as painful as it is, sometimes you take the hit now to preserve your self-respect and your chance at happiness later with somebody that actually does appreciate you and is crazy about you. Not somebody who's looking at you as like, So that's just my attitude towards it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I've been out of the dating game for a bit, but I have friends that date, and I will tell them, people, like, when people show you who they are, believe them. And that's like the only advice I can really give is like, just like, if they're saying one thing but doing another or vice versa, then like there's some sort of disconnect there. And like, if you decide to stay, then that's up to you. And if you decide to leave, then that's up to, like, the choice is ultimately, yours, is usually like what I say to them.
Yeah. I'm curious as to why your opinions on why somebody would circle back to make, not necessarily to reconcile, but just stay in contact with somebody that they broke up with.
I think some people just like I would probably fall into this category. I don't like leaving relationships, friendships, I don't like leaving any sort of relationship with people on bad terms because I feel too guilty about it. So I wonder if some of these people would be having guilt in their minds, assuming they don't want to get back with the person. They just have like guilt, especially if they're the ones doing the dumping, if this person is telling the truth. But other than that, I can't think of why someone would want to reconnect.
The only thing I can think of is if they were friends first, then they kind of developed feelings, and then they break up. They don't want to lose the friendship part. But even then, I think you need time in between. I don't think you can go right from a breakup to friends. I just don't think that works.
I also think that pretty much most people with common sense realize if you're getting into a relationship with a friend, you're going in with the gamble that if the relationship doesn't work, you're probably not going to be friends anymore. You know, it doesn't mean you have to hate each other, but your friendship's not going to be. It's not ever going to be the same.
Yeah.
Well, I of course have maybe it's a hot take. I honestly think, in my experience, the only reason, like I said, I haven't had, whether I've been broken up with or done the breaking up, in those cases where she has come back to either like just into contact, right? Come back into contact, not necessarily saying I want to get back together, but just I think the only reason they have done this is for their own sense of validation. I think part of it is, like Dana said, there's that guilt. And part of it is, I don't want you to be angry at me. I don't want you to look at me as a bad person. I don't want to feel like a bad person because I broke up with you and it hurt, right? And it's like, I really believe people have the right. Relationships are at will. If you don't want to be in that relationship, you can unilaterally end it. We all have that right. Yes, it is going to cause pain. You can't avoid that. And again, not to sound petty, but if I'm broken up with, it's not my obligation to make the breaker upper feel less guilty. Not that I want them to feel that pain. I don't, but I don't feel any special sense of like, well, I'm going to maintain this sort of conversation contact with you so that you can feel better about the decision that you made. That's the way I look at it. So I think it's really all about people just want to feel validated and they don't want to feel like they did. They want to help. They're asking the person they broke up with to help them cover that sense of guilt that they have for hurting somebody.
Yeah, I think if you're the breaker upper, you have to take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
I agree.
You got to own that. You got to own that one. Yeah. And not to say, I mean, like I said, you don't have to justify why you're breaking up with somebody, right? But it's also in those cases where I've been broken up with, you know, what hasn't happened a whole lot, strangely enough. But in my adult life, when it happened, you know, if somebody, as soon as they said, like, I don't, you know, whatever, like, we need to talk, we shouldn't be together. Like, to me, I don't need a laundry list of all your reasons why. I just need to know that you don't want to be together anymore. That's fine. And we don't need to talk about it any further. That doesn't go over well. You know, the women that have broken up with me that I've dated in general, like if it's been for any length of time, in general, they want to have a conversation about it. And it's like, no, I don't need to have a conversation about this. You are setting a boundary. You don't want to be together in a relationship romantically anymore. That's fine. I'm going to go on my way.
So you see it as it's like a them problem, not a you problem. They said
Pretty
their
much.
piece and you're like, cool, man, go do your thing.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, why would I argue? Why would I spend all this time trying to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with me? Like,
That's true.
You can't logic feelings, right? You can't present some sort of, and I'm a logical guy. I'm all about rationality, but you can't, if someone is saying to you, I don't feel this anymore, I don't want to be with you, nothing you can say is going to change that. Right? So arguing against their decision is pointless. It hurts, it sucks, but you just got to go with it. Like, you have to accept it and move on. That's my thought.
Yeah. Well, what did the people of Reddit say?
So one person said, because people don't know what they have until they lose it, the grass is rarely ever greener on the other side. And if it is, it's because somebody cultivated it to be that way, and it took a long time to get there. Otherwise, the light is just playing tricks on people. Which I thought was an interesting response. Yes, I do.
Sorry, I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
that makes it seem like these people have like had interests outside of the relationship, like
Yeah.
they were cheating or whatever, and like so the grass was greener on the. They thought the grass was going to be greener on the other side.
And I think that's very common. Like, ask yourself, of all the people you've known that have ended a relationship, how many of them didn't have somebody or some potential somebody that they were monkey branching over to? It happens all the time. I hear a lot of people say, like, oh, I'm breaking up and I'm going to work on myself, which is a load of crap. That never happens. They immediately go out. They're either jumping in a bed with somebody else or they're in another relationship, right? But either way, they're using some form of romantic contact as a way to get through the breakup. Nobody breaks up just to be alone. I honestly don't think that ever happens. I think people like to pretend that it does, that they're on this noble quest to find themselves and find the right relationship and work on themselves. And it's like, this is a load of bullshit. People don't do that. They don't. They just don't. Maybe you guys disagree, but
I think there's probably only a few, like a small percentage of people that maybe break up because they're in like what I don't know, like I don't want to say maybe toxic or like abusive relationship where it's like unsafe for them and they don't have another person, but they know for their own safety they need to get out. And the lucky ones that do, I think that is, again, I think it's a small percentage of people that will do that because it's hard to get out of those relationships.
And I agree with you, and I want to, and I just want to be clear. Like, I'm not talking about those situations, right? Those situations exist. We know they exist. We know people are in abusive relationships. We know, it's difficult to get out of an abusive relationship, and no, somebody's not going to wait for somebody better to come along before leaving the relationship, right?
Yeah.
If they're in that situation, yes, they will do, and they're trying to leave. They're doing it for their own health and safety. I'm talking more generally speaking, where this is not occurring. Most people are full of crap. And we like to tell ourselves that like I said, we like to frame things to ourselves to make ourselves feel better and look better and sound better. We all do it, myself included. You guys do it to some extent. Everybody does it. None of us are immune to it. So another answer was, I've experienced this post-divorce in the dating app era. I'll be talking to someone for a while. Things won't work out for whatever reason, and we stop talking. Then over time, they reach out again to see if I'm still single and interested in giving it another try. While staying friends or keeping in touch is fine, if someone moves on from you, think carefully before giving them another chance. You don't want to invest in someone who sees you as their safe backup plan. I 100% agree with that.
Yep.
And then the final general answer was, people in general tend to minimize positive attributes while in a relationship and exaggerate the shortcomings. That's bad enough, but they often fix those shortcomings with the next relationship, but then the shortcomings were your strengths. Then 3 glasses of wine in, you get a call.
Booty call.
Yeah.
Huh.
So,
Interesting.
yeah. So if you're a breaker upper, grow some balls and move on. Don't try to keep somebody on your hook. That's my advice. And if you've been broken up with, grow a spine and realize that this person doesn't care about you the way you care about them. And as much as that hurts, there is somebody else out there that will give you the love that you want. That's my advice to
Amen.
anybody listening. Okay. So this one, I don't know if this one is real. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
100% fake.
I'm sure.
I have a story to tell after this. This made me think of something, so I'll let you read it, David. But go ahead.
Okay. So this is from the relationship advice subreddit. My husband and I haven't been the same time since he moaned something strange during sex. How do I approach this? So the writer is a 31-year-old woman. Her husband is 33 years old. This is a throwaway account because people we know use Reddit, and I don't want them to know about our sex life. My husband and I have been married for almost 2 years now, and nothing like this has happened in our relationship before. We have always been very open with each other, as we both like to hash out problems before they escalate. One of the first things that drew me to him was his brutal honesty. We also have, or had, a pretty regular and healthy sex life, never having problems with infidelity or anything in a similar vein. In short, our relationship is more or less perfect. People always tell on themselves eventually, and I'll get into it after this. Until the other night. My husband and I were going at it. Wow, real romantic, lady. Nice way to... When he said something pretty strange. Everything was normal until I heard him moan, "Hooby dooby." At first, I thought that I had misheard him, but no. He completely froze and looked mortified. I was just confused, mood ruined. I asked him about it, but all he did was take his pillow and leave. I knew he was going to sleep on the couch, which isn't something he's had to do since we first moved in together. I'm not going to get into that. Right. So much for the perfect relationship. We spent the night apart, and in the morning, we went about our routines as normal. When he got home from work, I tried to bring it up, but he pretended not to hear me and kept watching TV. This relationship sounds more perfect all the time. It's been a couple of days and I haven't brought it up since. However, there's been an air of awkwardness between us, and I don't think we can truly move past this without discussing it. I was hoping he'd be the one to bring it up first, but that hasn't been the case. I don't know what Hooby Dooby means. I have theories about it maybe being an anime character, as he enjoys watching that kind of stuff. But to me, it doesn't sound like someone's name. If anyone knows what or who Hooby Dooby is, or has any ideas on how to approach this with him, please let me know. Thank you.
Well, I guess Caitlin went on Reddit and decided to talk about our sex life. Yeah, I mean this. I mean, it could. Actually, I was thinking this was fake all along. But it could be real.
It could be real.
It could be real,
Maybe she misheard him.
Yeah, I'm
maybe
thinking
he was like "howdy doody," or maybe it was something more like that.
That would be worse. That would be worse.
I'm just saying, like, maybe she maybe she just misheard what he said, but I don't know why he would freeze.
He literally could have said someone's name and she could have misheard what he said.
Maybe.
Like,
yeah, if this is real, if this is real, I don't understand why. I mean, yes, it's awkward, but I think there's a lot of humor to be found in this, and I'm kind of surprised. Like, if his reaction is to just not talk about it at all, it does make me wonder, like, did he actually say somebody's name? I don't know what name sounds like Hooby Dooby.
I think this is real, and I think he said someone's name, and I think she just, in the throes of passion, she misheard what he said. And he said, he didn't say Hooby Dooby, he said, I don't know.
Yeah, but then when she asked him about it, wouldn't he have known, like, oh yeah, okay, so she didn't hear what I said? Because wouldn't you be like, what's Hooby Dooby?
No, well, we don't know how she asked. She could have said,
that's true.
Can we talk about what you said last night during sex?
That's true. We don't know how she asked. Because she just said, I asked him about it. And all he did was take his pillow and
I don't know. At first, my first read through of it, I thought it was fake. My second read through of it, I thought, okay, it could be true. And then as David was reading it, I was like, oh, this could really be true. And she just misheard him.
To me, you know, what struck me about this wasn't even what the woman's asking about. It's just all the contradictions. Like I was saying earlier, people always tell on themselves. I don't know how many times people say something like, "Oh yeah, our relationship is perfect," and then like when they first moved in together, he had to sleep on the couch.
Yeah, what happened
You know,
there?
like what happened there? Even something like this should be like a relatively minor blip. If Hooby Dooby is in fact what he said, I mean,
I did Google Hoobie Dooby. I went on Urban Dictionary, didn't find that. I found something else, but it was not was not Hoobie Dooby. And then I did do Hoobie Dooby anime, and there is a character Howdy or Hoobie Dowdy or something similar like that. So maybe he's like into the cartoon stuff, which is a thing. I mean, people have fetishes, but I don't know. This is a weird one.
it is a weird one.
I mean, I think I think it's being blown out of proportion. I mean, clearly their relationship is not perfect if they can't talk about this. Like, at the minute
Yeah.
you say a relationship is perfect, it's not, because
Yeah.
no relationship is. So you're already lying. So that's like strike one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
People just say weird things. People can say weird things during sex sometimes. This made me think of like the old Dane Cook bit,
Which one?
where he said he was like being intimate with his girl.
Oh,
and
corn
he
on the
was,
cob
and he
or
was
something?
Like, and he was like, "Oh my, feels like corn."
Yeah.
And she just went right wrong with it. She rolled with it. She was like, "Give me the butter, baby. Give me the butter."
I forgot about that.
But I mean, he was making an observation that people will just say random things during times of passion.
But why would he get so upset? Do you think he's just embarrassed?
I think
he
what
got upset
Dana
because he said
is
someone's
probably
name.
true. He said someone's name and she misheard it, and that's why he doesn't want to talk about it. That's what I think.
He probably said like something Debbie, and she heard it as Hoobie Dooby.
I know. What other name sounds like Hoobie Dooby? All I can think about is Scooby Doo. Don't look that up on Urban Dictionary.
Maybe he said yabba dabba doo.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so Reddit had some thoughts about this. Top rated comment was, "This can't be real. If it is and Hoobie Dooby ruins your marriage, post an update."
Do we know if there was an update?
I did not see an update.
Okay.
So there might be
wonder.
one now. Who knows?
Well, who knows? This is a throwaway account.
Right. Another person responded, "This is bizarre, even for Reddit standards. Honestly, if she's about to burn down a marriage over nothing like this, then I don't know what she's even doing married." The husband's reaction was bad too. He did a very minute, embarrassing thing and seemingly had a meltdown over it. You both are whack. I agree.
I'm more and more convinced. He said someone's name.
He said someone's name.
She heard it, and she's in denial about it. So she's
Yeah.
just like Hoobie Dooby. I'm getting more and more convinced over it now. So, David, you thought this was fake. I think it's real.
And this one, this is how I would handle it. So I
Same.
liked this comment.
Me too.
This person said, "That would be the funniest inside joke ever if you guys get over this. I would never let that go. If we were out at a restaurant and one of the items on the menu is tasty, I'd lean over and whisper, 'Wow, that looks so Hoobie Dooby to me,' or something like that." I think that's how you get over something like that. If that's all it is
I think so too.
You find the humor in it, right?
Yeah,
If
I was
that's what
gonna
it is,
say,
but I don't think-
unless it's
I don't
like
think that's
really
what
he
it
did
is.
say a name or something.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, yeah, so funny. I feel like I would like you to do a therapy session with this couple because I feel like you could get some good stuff here. There's a lot to unpack in this relationship, I feel like.
So, with my argument, David, you were basically like 100%. This was fake. What do you think now?
With your argument, I actually think it could be real. Going on the assumption that this guy actually said some other woman's name, I would say it's real. If though the writer didn't mishear, I think it's fake. Or this person and her husband are incredibly shallow and petty and don't know how to communicate, over even the smallest issues.
Yeah,
Because
but
this, I had,
he's brutally honest. That's what she fell in love with him
right,
for. Okay.
right, yeah. Yeah. Anytime people use those kind of words like perfect relationship, brutally honest, you know that they're overcompensating and just lying or deceiving themselves, I should say. Not lying, but yeah.
That's a good segue into our next thing here.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this came from the marriage subreddit, and I picked this one because my siblings are marriage veterans at this point. Um, I'm like a marriage journeyman. I've kind of, like some teams, like some players on sports, they'll stay with like one team. That's kind of like you guys. I'm like that journeyman player that goes from like team to team.
Yes, we're Tom
And that's,
Brady, and you are Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I was thinking like, Jacoby Brissett or something, but okay. So I'm curious to see what my siblings say about this. This person asks, and they're not asking for advice. This is another one. They're just kind of musing, asking, is marriage really about love, or is it mostly teamwork in the long run? Or is it just about surviving life together? I've never married, and lately I've been thinking a lot about what marriage actually is. Growing up, I thought it was all about passion, love, and finding the one. But now, most married folks I know talk more about partnership, compromise, and just surviving the chaos of life together. It makes me wonder if love is even at the core of marriage. Or is it really about finding someone dependable enough to split the bills, raise kids, and not lose your mind with? To the married guys here, I don't know why he's just asking married guys, but whatever. When the spark fades, what keeps it real? Still love or something else entirely? Even unmarried ones can answer. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say he asked married men, so why don't you two go first?
My spark hasn't faded, so this question means nothing to me.
Yeah. And that,
He's like, when the spark
that's,
fades, the spark hasn't. I've been married for, 18 years. And we still have the spark. So why does the spark have to fade? Why is the assumption that the spark has to fade?
that was what I picked up on, is like this belief that, marriage just becomes this lifeless, mundane roommate situation where there's no real spark and you're just.
I think it does for a lot of marriages. I think we lived through one of those as children. But that doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. Especially when you find your person, like that spark doesn't have to fade. But I mean, certainly there are things that can happen that can make it change. Like having kids can alter how that goes, and then your relationship kind of morphs. But it doesn't mean the spark necessarily has to go away. I think even in that change, sometimes for marriages, the spark goes away. Different things can happen in different relationships, but I think the ones that are strongest, the marriages that are strongest, they still maintain the spark. They still have the communication. They still have like the teamwork aspect of it, and put in the work to make it work, to make the marriage last. But when you're automatically going off the assumption, if someone's getting into a marriage or they've been married and they're automatically going off the assumption that the spark's going to fade or it's fading, in my eyes, that marriage is doomed. I mean, it's doomed. So so asking the question, when the spark fades, what keeps it real? Nothing's going to keep it real. If your spark's fading, it's over. It's over.
Do you think that he's saying spark as like spark, or do you think he's asking more like honeymoon? When you first start dating someone, those honeymoon stages, everything's great. You're not fighting. You know what I mean? Like it's just all sunshine and rainbows.
But I think even in the worst times, you can still find that spark.
Yeah.
In fact, I know you can, because Caitlin and I have lived through the worst of times and have still found that spark. So no, that spark doesn't fade. If you're with the right person, like I said, it changes or whatever. But even at the conclusion of that quote unquote honeymoon period, you're still going to have that spark if you're with the right person.
Well, that's why I was asking, do you think he is saying spark but really meaning honeymoon? Like, do you think he's confusing or comparing the two of a spark versus honeymoon? Like,
Yeah, I'm
so
not too
it's
sure.
like
I'm not
if
too sure.
he
I'm not
if
going to presume
when
to.
the honeymoon
just-
phase ends, what
I'm
keeps
reading
real,
it as
that kind of
written
stuff.
because
Yeah.
I'm reading it as written because he's asking about marriage in general and he's asking about what keeps it together and what's at the core. So, I mean, he's saying the sparks fade. I'm taking him for what it's worth, and he's saying the spark has faded because I mean he's talking about the marriage in general and what's keeping it afloat. And I'm going on the record. You can't make it afloat if you don't have that spark. It's
I also think, though, people the spark is important, and I think no, people shouldn't assume it's going to fade. But I also think the reverse is true, where people put too much emphasis on the spark, and marriage takes a lot more than just the spark to work. Like, you have to have compatible values. You have to have an understanding that it's not going to be all passion all the time. Like Dana was saying, it can change.
Yeah,
you have to
of
work
course.
to bring it back, right? Or to keep it aflame. But I think there's a lot of people out there that as soon as the spark fades, whether in a marriage or just a romantic relationship, they're assuming, well, that's it. This must not be the person that I should be with because I don't feel that way all the time. Right. So,
Yeah, I think, like, I don't know. I think it comes down to respect and fun. If you respect the person that you're with and you remember to have the fun and the friendship part, and, like he's saying partnership, compromise, survive. I think it's all of those things. Like, I know when Mike and I got married, we're not the same people that we were when we were in our 20s. You evolve separately and then you still evolve together as a couple. So for me, it's like respectful and fun. You have to remember that part. And then everything else, like you were saying, Dave, like when the spark fades or
I'm gonna
whatever.
go.
People put a lot on the spark, but like you have to work at the relationship. Like you have to choose that person every single day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'm gonna say the spark when you're with the if you're really with the wrong person, the spark will fade. I think if you're with the right person, maybe you misplace the spark and the spark relocates itself somewhere. But if you're putting in that work and you're going forward with the partnership and putting in the work and doing the compromise and doing, the appreciation and the communication and all that other stuff, you're gonna find that spark. You're gonna find the spark. You're gonna relocate it, and bring it back.
Yeah,
It's
like
when-
you evolve as a couple.
Yeah,
like
you're
yeah.
evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you can distinguish between the spark being moved and placed somewhere else in the relationship or marriage versus the spark fading. I think when the spark fades, it's gone. It's not coming back. Like that's when people, going back to the first story we talked about, that's when people start looking at other people and finding them more appealing and the grass is greener and like that the sparks faded for them. In that case, it wasn't the right relationship. I think when you're in the right relationship, that spark doesn't fade. It doesn't go away. It's just somewhere else, and you put in the work to bring it back to you and
Well,
bring it
people
back
say,
into the relationship.
Like the grass is greener on the other side, but the grass is greener where you water it. Like you have to put something into the relationship. You just can't expect that the relationship's just going to stay the same and be the same forever. It's just that's not how it works. Like,
It evolves.
because I had a friend ask me once, like, everyone says marriage is work. Like, why is it work? I'm like, it's not work, but like you have to think about the other person. You discuss things. You don't just make decisions on your own. You like consult the person that you're living this life with. So yes, it's work, but not like hard work. It's not like
it's
I can't.
it's
articulate
not
it, but...
work, it's intention, right? I
Yes,
think
yeah.
too many people get into it. In our society, I really believe too many people get into relationships just with the sole idea of what am I getting out of this relationship, right? What is like, it's my happiness that matters. And it's not about the other person and it's not about the relationship as a whole. It's like, what am I getting out of this? And if I'm not getting everything out of it, then it must not be the right relationship, right? And that's not the way that it's really supposed to work. If you want your relationship to work, you have to have a certain amount of teamwork. You have to be intentional about trying to meet your person's needs to an extent. Like, no, it doesn't mean you take it all on and that you're solely responsible for their happiness. But I do things for my wife simply because I know that it'll make her happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, but I don't think, I think a lot of people, many people don't have that attitude. It's all me, 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 me.
Yeah, I'd say that's accurate.
And those are the
Right.
marriages that fail
Yeah.
in most cases.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
when I look at like just our family and I look at relationships that I would like look up to, it was like Auntie and Uncle Dana, Dolly Bryan, Patty and Ellen, like people we were around seeing. It was never, I mean, even Mom and Steven, older, but like I'm saying like younger years, like those were the relationships that I was like, oh, I'm like, they really still like each other. You know, like you can tell when people like each other in a
Yeah.
relationship and not just love each other. Because there may be times in a marriage when you don't really like them, but you always love them. But I think that's like two sides of a coin. I think they like go hand in hand, the like versus love, you know? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, in relationships and marriages, they're going to hit rocky roads. And when you not just love, but you like the person you're with, and you put in that work and you communicate and you proceed with intention, like that's how you get through those rocky times. That's how you
Absolutely.
rekindle that spark. And yeah, that's, you have to put in
Yeah.
the work.
And that's,
Yep.
it was kind of interesting that you bring up the liking each other, because one of the things that Hawaii had asked me when we were dating was, your last relationship, Dave, was 4 years. How come you didn't marry that woman? And the reason is because I knew she didn't particularly like me. Or I had this suspicion, like, I don't think she really likes me. I think she maybe loves certain parts of me, but I never really felt like she actually liked me, my attitude, my personality. I don't think she really cared for that. So that was, in the back of my mind, it's like, I can't take that step with somebody.
Yeah. No, I think liking is a big part. And to me, and it goes back to that friendship part. And maybe it's because Mike and I were friends in high school, for years before we started dating. But I mean, to me, that gave us like a solid foundation of like, okay, we genuinely like each other. We like to be around each other. And we also like find each other very attractive, and like we have things in common. We think alike, but yet we have our differences. We don't judge each other for them. We respect each other's opinion. That's why I think like fun, like having fun, being respectful, and actually liking the other person. And then I think everything else will fall into place with those, the partnership, the, all the teamwork and all that.
So Reddit, some of the responses. Hang on a second here. Someone wrote, I have been married for 2 years and together for 7. The correct answer is all of the above and more. It is about partnership, compromise, and surviving chaos. But it is also about passion, love, and the one. If you have only passion, the relationship won't survive long term. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to build a life together. If you are a great team, but it is loveless, it is called work / being colleagues, not marriage.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Another person wrote, my opinion is that they go hand in hand. Having the foundation of love helps support the teamwork. Like any relationship in life, it will go through phases, challenges, and changes. But for me, it is at the core. Pretty much what Dana said. Right?
Yeah.
And then another person wrote, love, like, respect, and lust. Any of those components are missing, the marriage is toast. And someone replied to them and said, would change lust to passion. Lust, in my humble opinion, is sexual desire without love, so that is not entirely accurate.
That person's just completely wrong.
That's
That's not what lust means at all. Lust means your sexual desire. That person's completely wrong. And lust is a perfectly good and even great thing to have in a marriage. In fact, helps maintain that spark if you lust after your partner. Like, I lust after Caitlin all the time. I think that's part of the thing that helps keep the relationship going. If you don't lust after your partner, then like that's like you're not attracted to them. Lust is a perfectly fine thing. It's not the same thing as passion. Passion is completely different because you can be passionate about different things, not just sex. Whereas lust is sexual desire specific, and it doesn't have anything to do with whether you love someone or not. You can lust after someone without loving them, but you absolutely can still lust after someone you love. So that last person's wrong.
Tell us how you
All
really
right.
feel.
Yeah, that's no,
You're
really
wrong!
I've
And David was clicking, so I know he was looking up the definition of lust. And guess what, Dave?
No.
Isn't that what it said? Sexual desire. Not anything about nothing with like desire without love.
actually, you're wrong. I wasn't clicking that. I was bringing up.
Shots fired. Jeez Louise, what is going on?
You're wrong, random Reddit person. Why don't you look up the definition of lust before you put it in a Reddit comment? Be informed. If you don't know what the definition of lust is, you're not qualified to comment on Reddit, okay? We don't want to hear from you.
Here we go. Dana's rant. That should be our new segment. Dana's rant.
It's time for Data's rant of the
Rant
week.
of the week.
I'm sorry, did you just burst out into song randomly?
No.
I'm sorry. I'm
A
sorry.
little bit of self-hatred there.
Did my ears deceive me?
I wasn't singing.
Okay. What were you clicking, David? Now I'm curious.
Well, it's funny. I had a special bonus one for you all that I was going to bring up on the screen, and then I lost it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We'll find it.
You're too busy. He was too busy singing.
I was-
How
Would
did
you
you
like
lose
to
it?
give us the highlights?
Yeah, so I can
us
give
a
you the highlight.
summary.
I can't read it obviously because I don't have it in front of me, but it was written by a 26-year-old woman who her boyfriend is 28,
Okay.
and she had planned a birthday dinner. It was her birthday. She had planned it with like 4 or 5 of her closest friends and her boyfriend. And she had written that, when she celebrates her birthday, she just likes to keep it low key and spend it with the people that mean the most to her, which I totally understand and empathize with. So her boyfriend showed up with 2 uninvited friends that she didn't know were going to be there. She had reservations at this restaurant, so the wait staff had to like rearrange the tables to accommodate the extra people. And I think what really bothered her about it was she said that her boyfriend and his friends basically like dominated the whole conversation. And they were doing, they were being like, they had their own little group that kind of overshadowed everything. And they were talking with each other and all these inside jokes and stuff like that. And his girlfriend, it was her birthday, basically wrote that she felt like an extra at her own event. And she was upset. So what she did was she paid the tab for everybody. And she told everybody, this is from Am I the A-hole? She told everybody, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to go home early. But she paid everybody's tab. And then she went home, like left her own birthday dinner early. And then her boyfriend later texted her or called her and said that she made a big scene and made him look bad by leaving early. So her question was, am I the a-hole for doing what I did?
I don't think so.
I don't either. The general consensus was not the a-hole.
Yeah, I mean, having a reservation for a certain amount of people and then showing up with more people, that to me is the a-hole thing to do. Like, this boyfriend should have known we have a reservation for 6. Like, sorry guys, we'll have to, we can
She
do a
also
separate dinner, we
let
can
him
meet
know.
out, whatever.
She also let him know who she was inviting, who she wanted to invite.
Yeah.
So she specifically, I want a small list of people that I really want to see there. So for him to invite random people that she doesn't know that well to the party, yeah, she's not the a-hole.
Yeah, and then she paid the tab. That couldn't have been
On her own birthday?
a cheap tab. Yeah, I could tell you right now, I'm not paying on my birthday. You guys all know how I am. No, I would, but I mean that's well, no, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. That I mean
I don't
that's a
think it would.
that's a that's a big tab. Yeah, no, I don't think. I think she needs to find a new boyfriend who actually listens to
Well,
what she wants.
the people were basically saying like, is this a one-off thing that he did, or is this a regular pattern? If it's a regular pattern, you need to break up with him.
Yeah.
If it's a one-off thing, you need to ask him how he could be so monumentally like inconsiderate. To do something. I'm thinking like if I was one of the friends, I wouldn't be comfortable going. If I'm like, it's your girlfriend and it's her birthday and it's this reservation, there are reservations.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, let's go crash it.
Yeah, if it was a party, I would say bring your friends, whatever. You know what I mean? Like if it was like a big house party, bring people you can mingle. I don't have to like the birthday person doesn't have to entertain you because there's going to be multiple people. A dinner is like intimate, I think. I don't know. I like I don't
He
know
doesn't
about this
listen.
guy.
He's
Yeah, like-
inconsiderate. He probably rides a bicycle.
Probably
He
does.
probably does.
He probably does.
They probably rode into the restaurant on
Yeah,
their three
showed up, in,
bikes.
showed up in spandex.
I mean,
We're here for the party.
it wasn't like she wasn't clear. She was like, "Yeah, I don't really care what we do, whatever. I don't care." Where she was very specific about what she wanted, I don't think she's the a-hole at all. Like, at all.
Have you guys ever like felt like an extra at your own birthday event?
No, I go extra on my birthday. No, I have not. But I am not the person to ask because I'm a birthday crazy person.
I mean, I guess because I have always had to have them with the exception of a couple of years, had to share my birthday with Uncle Dana and Mom. So I probably felt like an extra a lot.
Yeah, because you never had like your own.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just your
The
40th.
year Caitlin threw the 40th
Yeah.
office party at your house. It was the
Yeah.
closest I ever had. Probably the only time I ever really got my own.
Yeah.
And even then we still kind of celebrated them too. So. Yeah.
I typically don't celebrate my birthday, but
Oh my God, I'm shocked.
but I did actually feel like an extra, and this kind of illustrates why. During my first marriage, when I lived in Stoddard, so it must have been some birthday in my 30s. But I remember, I was asked like, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" And I'm like, "Let's just have some people over." And I was asked, "Do you want a special birthday meal?" And I'm like, "I want chicken fajitas." So my ex-wife at the time made chicken fajitas and people came over and they were all people I wanted to see. So like nobody came uninvited, but I didn't get any chicken fajitas because everybody else ate them.
You're kidding.
Nope.
You should have eaten first. You're the birthday girl. Or
I
birthday
ate
boy.
last.
Sorry.
The birthday girl.
See, I told you I'm a crazy birthday person. Oh my gosh.
I was last on the list.
That's so sad. So, but have you all, like, were you a birthday person before?
No,
That-
not really.
I was
I think
gonna
when
say.
I was a kid, I was more of a birthday person, but somewhere around like my 13th or 14th birthday, it stopped being a special event and was just kind of like, Dana's giving me the side eye. What?
We always had birthday parties for you when you were a kid.
Yeah,
A
that's
teenager-
because
and a teenager.
mom was insistent on you have to acknowledge your birthday, but that wasn't. I wasn't like, "Mom, I want this party."
Do you
know what I mean? Like,
remember
that was
your
her.
surprise party when she hid all your friends in the closet and you walked in and you were like, "So where are they?" Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
Because you
remember that.
knew. I think it must have been your 18th if I had to guess. Yeah, you came home and you're like, "So where is everyone?" And Dana and I were sitting on the recliners. I remember it like it was yesterday. And your mom was like, what do you mean?" You're like, "Where are they?"
Our family's kind of hit or miss with surprise parties.
Yeah.
I mean, Mom was the ultimate. She could plan a surprise like no one's business. She knew how to sell it.
She did such a good job with your dad's 50th surprise party, and she was like heartbroken because he thought Vivian had planned it all.
Yeah,
And
I
she
know.
was, like,
I remember
devastated.
her telling me that. Yeah. I mean, Jess and Olivia planned my wedding shower, and they mailed me an invite to a baby shower for Olivia, and that was how they got me there. Like, she literally was like, "We're gonna mail her something. Don't tell." Like, she really knew how to sell a surprise.
Yeah.
She was like almost impossible to surprise. But yeah. I mean, I'm a birthday person. Even this year, like, I'm like, oh, I don't think I want to like do much this year. I think I just want to like go to dinner on my birthday. And everyone's like, what? You don't want to have a party? What's wrong? What do you mean? Why don't you have a party? Why? And
Still
like,
an
I
open
don't know.
invite. There's still an open invite on a sibling trip for your birthday.
I know.
There is.
I know.
There is. I remember when I said I was moving back west, and for like a week, Shelly was like, "Oh, well, happy birthday to me. My big brother's leaving. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me, I guess." I was like, "Geez."
Would you move back in May? Did you move in the month
No,
of
that
May?
was the thing. It was like I moved back in August, but for
So why
whatever
would I
reason,
say happy birthday to me?
maybe it was the first time I came out west, because that was around May, June.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Because I had graduated my grad program and then I got the job.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
that was what it
I
was
gonna
when you
say,
were like, "Well, happy birthday to me."
Because when was the last time you were here for one of my birthdays? I don't know that you've ever been here for one of my birthdays, actually. Like, besides, like, little, because you were maybe New Hampshire, when you lived in New Hampshire, maybe
Yeah.
you would have traveled down. It was easier,
The last sibling birthday I've been to is Dana's, so I guess
Yeah.
we know which one I love more.
obviously. Whatever.
I mean, you were invited to a bro trip for your birthday
I
in
know.
Vegas.
It's a lot of travel for only like a day and a half, and I like
3
am
days.
terrified
3
to
days.
fly.
That's 3 days. It's like basically 2 full days.
It's like 6 hours on a plane for like a
That's not
day and a
that
half
bad.
in Vegas.
2 days. 2 days in Vegas. We get there at like 11 a.m. We have the entire day, the entire night, then the entire next day and night of the next. We have a reservation at the best buffet in Las Vegas on Monday.
Well, you
And
guys
then
can
we
tell
fly
me
back
all
Tuesday
about
morning.
it that week.
No, you definitely should. You definitely should go.
Yeah, I will not be going. Are we still recording now?
We're still recording. I haven't even ended the podcast yet.
Was there anything else we wanted to talk about? We totally got onto
So let's talk about next week because I've been toying what I want to do for next week's episode.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you guys a choice. You can watch V for Vendetta and we can talk about that. Or we can play improv games.
I would be so bad at that. David, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm with Shelly on this one. I don't know that I can.
I was just trying to think of something fun for us, something different. Shelly loves
So-
games. I thought it would be fun.
Okay, so you know what's so funny that you mentioned games? I have a game called Hot Takes, and I thought that we could, for like one of my, when it's my week, I could randomly, without telling you guys ahead of time, like pick cards like live, and we could talk about whatever the question was. Because it's called Hot Takes, and you guys love to say you got a hot take on stuff, so I feel like it's kind of meant for
So
the
what would
two
you do?
of
You would grab the hot take card, put it up to the screen so we can read it.
Yeah, I can do that, or I can. I mean, I could pick them ahead of time.
So that's what we'll do. We're going to play a game, and it'll be hot takes.
Okay, next
we'll
week.
figure and next week. So we'll play hot takes next week. I mean, that's right on the same kind of theory of what I was going along with thinking about.
Okay.
So
Okay,
be warned, everybody. We are very competitive.
very competitive.
So come back next week when we play
Hot takes.
hot takes. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Bye.
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 Sib Riv is produced by DS Entertainment Network and Dana Scott. Your hosts are David Scott, Dana Scott, and Michelle Zaborski. Our theme song is Alone Tonight by Ocean Drive, which can be found on creatormix.com. Be sure to check the description below for links to our social media, YouTube, and Spotify pages. The Sibling Rivalry Podcast uploads a new episode every Monday. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can be made aware every time a new episode drops.
God. I had an idea that if I'm ever like not available or away or whatever, and Mike wanted to sit in, you guys could do like I thought you guys could have a little bro sibling thing.
Are you trying to phone in your part of the
Oh
podcast?
my
Is that what's
God.
happening here?
It's just one day it's randomly not me, not Shelly, and not Dave, and it's just Mike, Caitlin, and Hawaii trying to do a podcast.